inside look behind the scenes at CMU Athletics comes your way now on the Fabiano Brothers Central Michigan IMG Sports Network. CMU Sideliners, presented by Fabiano Brothers, is also brought to you by Members First Credit Union, The Morning Sun, and YP.com. Now, let's talk Central Michigan athletics with the voice of the Chippewas, Don Shido.
Mike's up.
Hi again, everybody. Welcome to O'Kelly's Sports Bar and Grill in Mount Pleasant for CMU Sideliners. I'm Don Shido. Great to have you along tonight. We're going to talk a little CMU men's and women's basketball, also a little wrestling and gymnastics. The women with a nice win on the road last night to stay undefeated in the Mid-American Conference, 87-53 over Kent State, now 6-0 in the MAC. And Rain Harmon, one of the CMU assistants, will join us here in just a little bit. We'll chat about the great start for the women, and how about Crystal Bradford? Not only a Mid-American Conference honor for, I think, the fifth time this season, but a national honor as well for her. She had 21 points last night. We'll get into that as well. Then will be here, the CMU gymnastics coach. They got a nice win over Mary in the Royal Rumble and Tumble last weekend. Now they're getting ready to host Ball State on Sunday at 1 o'clock. Central Michigan Wrestling, Tom Borrelli will be here. They're headed out to visit Kent State Sunday at 2 o'clock. They beat Ohio last Friday, but then lost to a very good Missouri team. Almost pulled off the upset. At home, they lost by 1. So we'll chat a little CMU wrestling. Then we'll close out the program with Keno Davis, the head basketball coach here at Central Michigan. Tough loss for the men on the road at Miami last night. And 4 late in that contest, but end up losing by 6, 86-80 on the road at Miami. And a very good Akron team is coming into McGurk Saturday night at 7 o'clock. So we'll chat with Keno a little bit about the men's program, where they're at, and see if they can get their first MAC victory on Saturday night against a good Zips team. All that and more coming up as we continue along on the CMU Sideliners, presented by Fabiano Brothers right here on the Fabiano Brothers Central Michigan IMG Sports Network.
Clear.
Pleasant invites local kids to register for a chance to be the Meyer Ball Kid of the game during the 2013-14 men's basketball season. Visit Meyer on Pickard in Mount Pleasant to get the official entry form. Rain Harmon is here, assistant with the CMU women's team. Good to have you here. Thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Getting ready to go to practice here in just a few moments.
Yeah, we'll be jetting out of here.
Let's before we talk about last night's game on the road, a nice win at Kent.
Yep.
Let's revisit what happened over the weekend. And if you weren't there, shame on you, because it was one of the special moments in CMU women's basketball history. I think for the second time this year, we've had a great moment at home Boy, you're down against a Bowling Green team with about 3 minutes to go.
Yep.
You go on an improbable 12-1 run to get it into overtime, and then you win the game in OT, and it was just an electric atmosphere.
Yeah, you know what? All year we've been talking about that non-conference schedule, and right in that moment I was thinking, that's starting to pay off, because you look at some of our early games with a Marquette or South Dakota State where, we should have pulled some of those games off, but now we have that experience now, to be in those tight situations. Even some of our players stepping up off the bench, we know now we have to concentrate on those free throws. We have to get those extra 50-50 balls, and it was just, a credit to our fans, a credit to the kids that were on the floor, credit to our bench and Coach G. It was just good to see that we hustled, at the right get that win.
You got contributions from a lot of people. Crystal, a given on the game she had, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But Taylor Johnson came off the bench and gave you some nice three-pointers when you really needed a scoring punch.
Yep.
It just seems like the right person is stepping up at the right time so far, and that's the reason why you're undefeated.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a lot of weapons, and we have a deep bench, and everybody is comfortable and they know their role on the team, and I think that they're playing to their strengths right now. We all know that Kirby Tam, Nikki DeJulio, they shoot the three. That's what they do. So when they get the ball, they're going to shoot it. We know that Crystal's going to score. She's going to get hers. So when people starting to collapse on her, now we're able to kick it out to our shooters. Jewel, we need her to get some putbacks, and she's stepping up and doing that. Riri's also getting to the line as well.
What's amazing about your club, too, is you have a game where, let's say, Nikki isn't shooting as well as she's going to, and that's going to happen. It happens to all shooters, and you look at her line from the Bowling Green game, and she was, 3 of 14 from the field? But yet you can weather something like that, and that really says a lot about your team because most clubs, if you took away their best shooter on an off night, they're not going to beat a good team like Bowling Green.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And it's good to see, like I said, some other kids just stepping up, knocking down those big shots when we need to. And just, a credit to our players coming in before practice, sometimes even 30 minutes before practice, although we're in classes right now, just getting those extra shots up because you never know when your number's going to be called, and you have to hit that big shot to beat a Bowling Green.
Well, let's talk about CB23 for a moment because it's really amazing. You look at, she was named MAC West Player of the Week again. I think they really should just name it the Crystal Bradford Award at this point. And then she gets an NCAA Women's Basketball National Award, and her line was unbelievable when you look at what she's been able to do lately and some of the numbers that she just puts up. Even when she's not scoring well, she fills the stat sheet all across the board.
Absolutely. And she's been really dishing out some good assists, and now we're starting to knock those shots down. She's really a gambler on defense, and we like that about her because she's able to get some of those deflections, some of those steals that'll lead to those easy layups. And, of course, just staying relentless on the boards, and we've been talking to her about just being more consistent in other areas other than scoring. So stay on the boards, and I think now that she's seeing those numbers increase, the more she sees them increase, the more she wants to keep at it.
She's in the top 40 in 4 different categories, including double-doubles, steals, scoring. It's just unbelievable. Rebounds as well. And the thing about Crystal, I think, that amazes a lot of people is she's one of these players that you can watch her in maybe a half a basketball or 7 or 8 minutes. She looks like she's never played the game. And then she looks like the best player in the country for the second half. Have you seen a player like that at that skill level that's been able to go from cold to hot like that?
No, I haven't. And, I'm very fortunate to be able to coach, our whole staff, very fortunate to be able to coach a player like Crystal. And, she's eager to learn, and she watches a lot of NBA, a lot of WNBA, and try to pattern some of her skill sets, after different players. But it's good that, she continuously wants to add more to her arsenal, which is good.
Absolutely. And tell me a little bit about what you coaches were thinking I believe it was started last year, in the beginning of this year, when you're bringing Crystal off the bench. Most people would think you have a player that talented, they're automatically going to go on the starting lineup, but you had good reasons for that.
Yeah, some players are better off the bench. Maybe they need to watch to see how they can contribute when they come in as opposed to figuring out on the floor, and sometimes she needs that. So, some days it's like, okay, I don't want to start, I just need to figure it out, and so once she gets in, she sees the defensive setup, she's able to go to work that way, and as opposed to coming in, being all jittery and just trying to figure it out on the floor. So, but as she produces, now we have to insert her in the starting lineup so we can get something right away, and so that's kind of been, the thought process behind it this year as well.
Absolutely. When you watch her and you see her game evolve, and you've been here for a couple seasons now, does she remind you of anybody that folks would be familiar with in their game, whether it's on the NBA level or the collegiate level, a familiar name to anybody that her game kind of is reminiscent of?
Well, it's funny because in practice she'll throw out all kind of names. Black Mamba, she'll hit a shot from half court, and, or LeBron. But, you look at her build, and and just kind of unorthodox. And you look at a Kevin Durant and how unorthodox he is, and he can step out and hit the three, and he Euros around anybody in the league, And I would say that she reminds me a little bit, of him. And sometimes in practice she's working on, whatever she just seen the night before, whatever he's done. So
the other thing I like about Crystal is no matter what's going on, and sometimes players who are the stars of their team and they score quite a bit, that's all they want to do is score.
Yeah.
At the end of that Bowling Green game, she maybe wasn't having the best offensive night in the world. She basically, from what I saw, put herself down on the post and said, I'm going to get every rebound, and she almost did.
Yep, and at that point, that's what we needed from her. And I think, she understood that. She had been rebounding that game, and it's like, hey, this is where you can help us. Get those defensive rebounds, start our break, let's push. Maybe that scoring's not there because they're packing it in on you. So look for other ways. Find your teammates. Get some assists, get some blocks, get some steals. And I think, she really likes those opportunities to be able to excel in different areas.
You played a few years for Central Michigan. How would you like to have somebody like Crystal on your squad?
Oh, man, if I could have, just 3 games with her, just 3 games, I'd love it.
It's a luxury, and sometimes you just hope that the people who are watching her now here at Central and her teammates appreciate it, because it's one of those things that you probably won't see somebody like that for a few years down the road. You hope that you do, but she's a special kid.
Yeah, she is special, and I think people will appreciate her just as much as they appreciate her now, But, Crystal Bradford is a player that we're going to be talking about for many of years to come.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to come back and talk a little bit about the season so far. We'll get into the schedule a little bit, talk about Kent State and what's on the horizon for the CMU women's team. We'll do that next after this time out on the CMU Sideliners on the Fabiano Brothers Central Michigan IMG Sports Network.
Clear.
Dairy Farmers are proud to provide post-workout chocolate milk for athletes. Nutrient-rich chocolate milk helps athletes refuel and rehydrate after intense exercise. A little intense exercise coming up for the CMU women's basketball team. Just about 16 minutes as they hit the practice floor, and Rain Harmon's going to have to leave and head to practice, and free throw shooting is going to be a point of emphasis.
Yes, I would not be surprised if we shot free throws for an hour today.
And that's because last night at Kent, that was one of the few do very well, huh?
Yeah, we did not do well at all. In the first half, we went 2 for 8 from the stripe. Second half, 11 for 17. And so, we've been talking about that's a percentage that we need to raise. In every game, that's going to be a slow climb for us, because when we get in some of those games, like a Bowling Green, luckily down the stretch in that game, we were able to hit some free throws. But we have to be able to do that consistently, and it's about focus and really starting to focus and practice on hitting those.
You guys are a championship team. You proved that last year, and you're right. You get in those close games, and down the stretch at Bowling Green, well, here against Bowling Green, you're able to make them all. And you're going to have some tight games coming up where that's going to be a big factor.
Exactly. And so I think that's what we're going to be shooting them a lot today. And it's just about sometimes when we're in practice, you can get into the mindset of, maybe they're talking and not really paying as much attention as they should be. It's a difference when, they lock in when they shoot threes. But when we're shooting free throws, it's almost treated as a break, and it's not a break. We're focusing to hit free throws now so that we can hit them down the stretch in games.
Let's talk a little bit about the game last night. Looking at it, looked like a total mismatch. Kent State really struggling, one of the teams in the MAC that's not having a good season. But you're coming off a big emotional win at home against maybe the other great team in the Mid-American Conference this season in Bowling Green, and there's always that letdown that coaches try and guard against. And I had your game on while I was calling the men's game, and it didn't look like we saw a letdown. You guys came out pretty high with a lot of intensity, didn't you, once you got into the game a little bit?
Yeah, we did, and we switched some things up. Before the game, Coach talked about it, almost being a trap game, because you look at what we came off of with the Bowling Green, and then, looking forward, it's going to be a huge game, just a rivalry game versus Western. So, we really talked about not overlooking Kent, and what Coach did against Kent her first year, and they hadn't won any games in the MAC, and then boom, they go into Kent and beat them, and so it was kind of one of those things. We can't have a letdown. Let's focus on us for 40 minutes, and so we came out up tempo, full court press, and we were able to just capitalize on some turnovers.
Now that you guys have the bullseye on your back, so to speak, after winning the MAC championship last season, when you go into an arena, and maybe last year or the year before that when you weren't here, you could kind of slide in there, and maybe they weren't ready for Central Michigan. You're not finding that anymore, are you?
No, not at all. We're the team everybody wants to be, and we're going to get everybody's best shot, because it's like we have to take them down. Everybody thinks this is our chance. We got to get them. We can really make some noise if we get Central Michigan. But, the type of players that we have, they really thrive on that. They thrive on everybody's out to get us. So let's show them why we're number one in the MAC. Let's get our win. Let's get home and prepare for the next one. And I think that they are really rising to the challenge of being number one right now.
Well, you talk about intensity. You're going to see that in Kalamazoo on Saturday when you go to Western Michigan at 2 o'clock. You guys are putting together a little bus trip. If folks want to go, they have to let you know by noon tomorrow, 1-888-FIRE-UP2. It's $20.
Yep.
And they get a trip down and back, and they also get a game ticket. That's a great deal.
Yeah, it is a great deal. And, anytime we play Western at Western, we'd like to see some maroon and gold in the stands. And so we're hoping that, some of our fans can hop on the bus, whether they're women's fans, men's fans, hop on the bus, come support us, come back, and then, support them in that night. So.
And we really need to see that because, as Coach has talked about, and you guys have seen it, there are some established women's programs in the Mid-American Conference that travel real well. Toledo brought a bunch of people here. Bowling Green did.
Absolutely.
Now we need to see that. We need to see some maroon and gold on the road and get some of those bus trips organized.
It'd be nice. We can hear the band and, some of their fans heckling us when we're at the free throw line. It'd be good if we could just return the favor while we're down there.
As we look ahead and look at your schedule, and you're at Western Michigan, then you've got Eastern Michigan and Ohio at home. How's the schedule shaping up for you as you go through the MAC season? I know you never like to look ahead. But
yeah, we don't like to look too far ahead. But starting off, immediately where we started off with our first couple games, we had some tough tests.
Yeah, Toledo.
Exactly. And, like I said, our team's really going to get up for those games. But now, within our next two games, now we're playing teams within our state. And so a lot of these players, they know each other, they thrive on playing each other, so it's kind of going to be a personal battle once they get out there. I'm better than you, and no, you're not. Yes, I am kind of deal. So it should be interesting, and it'll be fun to watch.
Coming back from Kent State last night, you guys had that long bus trip, as did the men, on the road midweek in bad weather. Mm-hmm. Give us an idea how these young ladies deal with this travel and all the time constraints that they have during a season.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. But it's something that they have to manage. And so you look at a day like today where we got back at 2:45 last night, and as opposed to going at 11:15 today, we were allowed them, get up, go to your classes, and then during our practice time, you'll have time to catch up on your studies. You'll have time to get some rest, and then we'll only go for an hour tonight at 6:30. So we kind of adjust to, we'll see how everybody's feeling, if anybody's, a little tired, a little sore, and we'll just kind of, adjust around that.
And so far, so good on the injury front?
Yeah, so far we're good.
Yeah, it's always nice when you get through the first half of your season, especially in conference play, and you don't have somebody out for the season like you saw last year at the end of the season, which really hurt.
Yeah, absolutely it does, and they make sure that they get in just for maintenance and, go see our trainers and just make sure that ankles are taped and we're still getting treatment and things like that, just to avoid any injuries, that may be coming.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the Western Michigan game. Is that your scout? I see you have a little report in front of you on the Broncos. I'm not going to ask you to spill the beans here, but
no worries.
Give me some keys to defeating Western Michigan.
All right, so this Woody Scout, like I said, they're 4-2, and right now they're driven by their post players. One's averaging 11 points. I think the other averaging about 16 points, and so they're looking to get paint touches every time down the floor. So we're going to have to make sure that we're ready to battle in the post, keep them off the free throw line, and just look to continue going with that up-tempo style of defense like we did last night against Kent. Get them to turn the ball over, which can get us some easy layups.
Absolutely, and a game like that, that it's going to be real intense. Not only is it a great rivalry, but going in there undefeated, they would like nothing better than to hang the first loss on the Chippewas, wouldn't they?
I'm certain. I'm certain that they would, and our kids are going to be ready for the challenge. And, I think it's going to be a good game. Our shooters are getting prepared here in the next, 10 minutes, and, we're just going to come out.
Before we let you go,
yep.
Coach Woody at the Bowling Green game, we need to talk about this. If folks were there, a man that looked like he stepped out of Saturday Night Fever and John Travolta, the all-white suit and the white shoes. What's going on there?
Woody is a confident guy, and I think it may have even started with our strength and conditioning coach, Taylor.
It wasn't a loss. He didn't lose a bet.
No, he didn't. I think he was actually inspired to wear that suit by Taylor.
Well, good for him.
He's a confident guy. Our kids loved it. He got some slack from some of the guys on staff, but our kids just loved it.
I thought it was a dress-up costume night at the arena. I was looking for other folks that maybe had something going on.
Absolutely not. You know what? I'm trying to get him to coordinate for our pink game. Wear that suit, put a pink tie underneath, some pink socks. He's got to come out looking sharp.
He might go all pink. You never know.
He just might.
1-888-FIRE-UP-2 to get on that bus to go to Western Michigan on Saturday and support the women's team as they try to stay undefeated. It's a 2 o'clock contest. And you need to call that number by noon tomorrow. It's only $20. You get a ticket to the game. You also get a ride there and back, which is fantastic, especially this time of the year with the bad weather we've been having. Hey, thank you so much for stopping by. Best of luck.
Thank you for having me.
Keep it rolling. Let the young ladies know and Coach G that we appreciate what they've been doing so far and have good practice.
Will do. Thank you. Fire up tips.
All right. We need to take time out. Come back. We'll talk a little CMU gymnastics on the other side. On CMU Sideliners on the Fabiano Brothers Central Michigan IMG Sports Network.
Chrysler.
Clear.
that took place, what was it, last Friday night?
Yes, it was. We had a great crowd there. It was very exciting. I thought both teams performed really well, and we're
Give us an idea what's that like. We talked a little bit about it before the event. When you have wrestling going on at the same time as gymnastics, luckily you both won, which is great.
Oh,
that always helps, huh?
Yes, it does. We're always excited about that meet. We're always excited to be in McGurk. I think that we're home the whole month of January, which is very unusual, but I think it really gives our team a chance to perfect things, sleep in their own beds, do all the things that are comfortable before we hit the road. But the Rumble and Tumble was just lots of excitement. Balance beam gave us a little problem, and I don't know if it was an absolute, but it was right next to the wrestling mat, and so there's a lot of distraction there. And we came through the meet with a good victory, but we're eager to learn from that, and we did this week.
You had a couple falls on the beam, right?
Yes, we did.
And then you had a young lady who is our Members First Credit Union Scholar Athlete of the Week who really stepped up. Tell me about her performance.
Well, Hallie is just an outstanding young lady. She is going to be, or is, one of the cornerstones that we're going to lead on. She really came into her own as a sophomore when she won the MAC title on floor exercise. And this year, she's picking up right where she left off. Just a great overall individual with a desire, a big heart. She wants to compete. She loves to win, and she's really doing a great job for us.
She had a 9.775. Kind of got your team back on track at that point?
Yes, it did. We kind of went hit, fall, and then 3 hits in a row. So it was Hallie that, and her job is to do that. You have to put that behind you. She's in that position in the middle of the lineup to make sure that she can add that chemistry that we need. And there's really little doubt in our mind when Hallie's up that she's going to be very focused.
Well, congratulations to her. She's our Members First Credit Union Scholar Athlete of the Week. She's got a 3.2 average. She's an early childhood development major. She's from Clarkston, and she is our Members First Credit Union Scholar Athlete of the Week. Members First Credit Union making a positive difference now with 2 locations here in Mount Pleasant. All right, so you get that nice win in your back pocket on Friday, and now here come the Mid-American Conference teams.
Yes,
right?
Yes, it's all been a tune-up, and now the battles really begin. We know that we've got to be getting through this conference undefeated, and that's going to be a big task for us. But we've got the personnel to do that. It's just whether we can bring that day in and day out, week in and week after one another to get it together. But I really think we can. We've got some great athletes.
We were talking in the break, and I asked you, beside yourselves, who's the team to beat? You mentioned Kent State's going to be really good, and maybe Ball State isn't quite what they have been in years past. Your girls are smart. They know that. They look at the season. They know what's happening. How do you make sure that there's no sort of letdown here at the beginning against a Ball State team that maybe isn't on par with your club?
We're striving for national ranking, and we're going weekend. Every time we compete, our goal is to score 9-8. I don't really think that a lot of the teams, including Ball State, have the capabilities of having an entire team that's capable of doing that. So our job is to really focus on our performances. We're asking our kids to be perfect. Not a lot of coaches ask you to be perfect every time you compete. But, a 9.8 means that you're 98% on. And we practice to do that, and that's what we have to do. And I think the goal for this meet is to get in the zone, and we've been every way you can possibly talk about how do you score 9-8? What do you have to do? What's your frame of mind? What are you thinking about? And we're starting to feel that, and I totally expect that's going to happen on Sunday.
Tell me what you'll be happy with at the end of the day. You think you're going to get a victory.
Yeah.
But what else are you looking for besides the 9-8?
Well, we need to break into the 195 range, and for our gymnastics fans, they know that's a 9.75 average. So to expect that our kids are going to be across the board 9.8, I mean, that's the goal. But realistically, there's going to be a 9.7 here or there. But we've got to have a Hallie Maraw that's going to step up and go 9-9 on floor. We have to have a Brittany Petzel back in our lineup, and she's been a little nicked up. Becca Druin's got to be in there. But, you know, a 195 would really set us on the track that we need to be at. I really think that we're a 196 team, but, you know, you got to take one thing at a time. So we've been striving for that, and now I don't want to say I'm backing off of that, but realistically, let's be a 195 team. Let's get the national ranking back where we want it, and then we'll proceed from there.
Do you like that when you can send a message early in the season? Maybe you're going to see Kent a little bit later on down the road, but you show them that you're right near the top of your game?
Yeah, you have to in our sport, you have to intimidate without a defense. And they have to know coming in the door that they have to bring their A game. In gymnastics, it's tough to bring your A game when you're being chased, and that puts a lot of pressure on them. I think what we did really well against Maryland, for example, is I put my best vaulter up first. I put Kiki Petzold up first in the lineup. She was the first scorer, and she's usually our anchor. So in gymnastics, you usually stagger your lineup so that you go from your least capable to your biggest score. And we switched it, and that really affected them because as they put up their first bar worker that went 9-6 and then we went 9-8, they go, uh-oh, you know, and that's really the only defense we have is intimidation. And so we need to send some messages to the rest of our conference and to some schools that we're going to meet later on in the lineup or in the season. So that's where we're at. We've got to send the message. We've got to let them know that you know they're going to come to McGurk. Kent's coming to us this year, and that's really our biggest competition. It always is. And so they need to know that they better bring it and consistently because we are.
Well, it's nice to start at home. It'd be nice if you get a good crowd, which I'm sure you will. 1 o'clock Sunday?
1 o'clock, yes.
Everybody come out and support the Chips.
Yep. This is our breast cancer awareness meet, so a lot of things going on as far as bringing, you know, your pink apparel. You can do all kinds of fun things, and we'll have some memorabilia and some timeouts and some, you know, quiet time for those that are suffering from breast cancer or any kind of cancer. So it's going to be a very exciting meet. We hope that it's going to be warm inside McGurk, and so it's a great place to bring your family, and we're going to have a really, really good competition.
Well, it's a great cause and a great event. Good luck on Sunday. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you so much.
Jerry Reighard, who's the head coach of the ultra-successful CMU gymnastics team. We'll talk a little Central Michigan wrestling on the other side on CMU Sideliners after this timeout on the Fabiano Brothers Central Michigan IMG Sports Network.
We've got you covered.
Yellow Pages directory, you can find everything you're looking for locally. It's everything you want all in one place, the YP app. Back on the CMU Sideliners, a little audible here we're calling as we bring in Coach Keno Davis a little bit early. Good to see you again. Good to be here. It seems like it was just moments ago we were on the bus headed back from Miami. You guys must really love the travel. It must get old after a while, I would think.
I think it was just moments ago. That was a little longer trip with some of the snow that we hit, so. But we got there. It's important, and hopefully in time for our guys to make it to all their early classes. They didn't get a whole lot of less sleep, but we just got done with practice just now, and the guys have a good attitude and are working hard.
Those guys were doing a little bit better job of sleeping on the bus than you were. I know it's tough for you to get any sleep on the bus. How do you balance your day when you can't do that? It's got to be tough.
As we get taller and taller players, they'll have more trouble sleeping. But, I think what you do is you try to make sure that, it's a grueling, profession at times. When you're trying to turn a program and the type of hours that you have to put in, but you have to make sure that you have enough time so that you're getting things accomplished, and so to be able to get enough time to rest and recover from road trips, from recruiting trips, those type of things are important, and as well the practice, the preparation that you have in the team. You've got to make sure that what you're doing is long-term thinking, trying to improve as much as you can for each game, but also realizing what you're trying to strive for in the future.
You fall on the road against Miami 86-80 at their place. They didn't have their students, but a pretty good crowd on hand. They were pretty vocal, too, at least right behind us they were. Miami's turning out to be a pretty good basketball team. I thought you played fairly well in spurts, and maybe the sign of a young team that's trying to find itself still.
Yeah, they have a nice team, very well coached. Will Felder inside posed a big problem for us. Ends up with 20-plus points and 13 rebounds. It's really the thing right now that we don't have in our team.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that true post presence, rebounding presence, defensive presence from one player. We're going to develop our guys that are in our program. I love each and every one of them, and I think some of them have a chance to become really good. We also have to add. We have to add next year to our team and bring in some different skill set to be able to take us from a team right now that's a bottom half team to a team that can contend for championships.
I know you're looking for improvement as you go along the season, and it's going to come in spurts where you're going to see some and then maybe you step back. That's just the way how teams grow. Where are you at in that process with this club?
Well, it is a process, and I think what you try to do is, try not to be too emotional after a practice or a game, but look at it again like we talk about long term of how are we as a team this week versus last week, this month versus last month. And if you're a better team and you're a better program, great. Now I think our fans see that when they come out and see us, on Saturday, they're going to see a better team than they saw last Saturday. And that's what's important is that these younger players, that we're just not talking about youth, we're talking about improvement. We're talking about the program going in the right direction. And when you can see that with your own eyes and you pass that eye test, then that's where you're talking about exciting times.
You were close in rebounding last night. Your shooting suffered a little bit in the first half, and then you guys came out and shot it much better in the second half. Any explanation for that? Were you getting better looks in the second half, or what did you see last night?
No, we shoot 59%, I think, in the second half, shoot really well from three. It's what I expect from our team. I expect us to shoot well. We've got, good players. We've got talented, skilled guys, especially offensively. It's surprising to me that we've struggled in games sometimes as much as we have. The first half was a three-point game, and we had so many open looks that just didn't go in. As a coach, you're not frustrated with that to the point where you're raising your voice to, hey, they got to make shots. It's part of the game, and then the defensive effort is there, but we've got to be able to learn better. We've got to be able to speed up the learning process about how to keep teams out of the paint, force them out to the perimeter until we get more interior size help.
You're down by 12 with about a minute 41 remaining in this one, and last night it looked like you were all but headed for the bus, and then boom, 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 that shooting that you talked about, three-pointers coming out of everywhere, and you climb right back in it at the end of the game.
Yeah, I think one thing the pressure defense does is you're never out of a game. Those teams that don't press at all, when they're down 10, that game is over.
Mm-hmm.
That the other team can just take the air out of the ball and hold the ball, and there's not enough possessions to be able to come back. But we're going to be able to use our full court and our three-court pressure to be able to get back in games and hopefully to be able to stretch games out, stretch leads out because of the depth that we're going to have now and in the future, as well as the skill set of our players.
You've got this balancing act going on, and you talk about it all the time. You're planning for the future, trying to get better, but at the same time, you got guys that want to win now, including yourselves and your coaches, and you haven't won a MAC game yet, and you ran into a little bit of a losing streak last year in the conference. How do you handle that as a coach?
Well, I think it's to be able to think before you speak, because if I didn't, you'd say things that you would regret, because it's really important, I think, to be able to go back after practices and games and just not react. You lose by 6 and you think about some of the plays. You got to be able to go back to the tape and see, why did we lose by 6? Are they a better team? Did they work harder? Not many times have teams outworked us this year. There have been a couple, and our guys have heard about it. But those games where we're doing everything we can, we just have to do things better. We have to learn. We have to get experience. Sometimes you have to bite your tongue on that, and you have to make sure that you just keep working. Other times when you see some of the effort and the intensity that you don't like, you got to make sure that you quickly stop that and make sure that you get some players in there that are understanding of what's needed.
What was your message to the team last night before you got on the bus?
Well, it was one of those things that, we talked about that recurring theme at the end of the game, that you look at a 2 or 3 possession game, and then you look at some of the glaring weaknesses that we had defensively in the second half. I mean, they shot like 17 for 21 or something from the 2-point range against us, which is hard to do if no one's guarding you. So we have to improve in some of those areas, but we also have to understand it's a 2 or 3 possession game. We have to improve, but it's not like we have to improve 20 points to be able to compete in this league. We're competing with the top teams. Now we have to make sure that we keep improving to be able to beat the top teams.
When you're struggling on defense and you have the personnel that you do and your hand is kind of played out for you on what you can do, as a coach, are you looking at different schemes? Are you looking at plugging guys in different ways? Or at some point you just say, we are what we are and we just have to get better?
Both. We are, our players are what they are, and we do have to get better. But as a coach, you're not just going to fall into that crutch and say, well, we're a year away or we're a month away. We're going to, get back to the drawing board as coaches, and we're going to try to coach better, and we're going to try to play all sorts of different defenses. We'll try them all. We'll work on our man defense. We'll work on our different types of zone. We'll throw in some different wrinkles. We'll look at different players, which we did today. We had several guys that have been playing 5 or 6 minutes. We looked at them in more of a traditional role of 15 or 20, giving everyone an opportunity in practice. And when you have that kind of a focus in practice where guys are really competing, that's where you improve the most.
It really helps when you're true to your word on that. You've been talking about it all season long. Somebody like a Zach Saylor or Spencer Kranitz, who maybe is not getting a lot of time, but when they work hard in practice and they're doing the things that you want them to do, it shows up. They get more minutes.
They do. I understand. I'm like a fan too of different teams or different sports, and why aren't they doing this or doing that? Well, it comes down to practice. When a guy's earning it in practice, they're going to earn it in the game. If a certain player is working hard and producing, he's going to get that opportunity in games, because you can't just try guys out in games that haven't been able to be successful on the practice court. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have 2 or 3 guys that come in here in the next few games that haven't played as much, and they'll get an opportunity to show what they can do in games after their hard work in practice.
You made a change in the starting lineup a few games ago where you inserted Braylon Rayson and you took Austin Keel out of the starting lineup. Now, Austin's still getting lots of minutes, and I thought he played very well last night. He had 13 points. He had 5 guys in double figures. Sometimes when you do that, when you make a switch in the lineup, even though you're substituting all the time, does it help jumpstart a guy, maybe get him in a little different frame of mind sometimes?
Well, I think that's the hope, as a coach, that, whoever you start is going to help that game start off better. Or the player that maybe now you have come off the bench, maybe they'll get some more confidence, or they'll work harder to try to get back into that starting lineup. Our starting lineup's not set in stone. The guys have the opportunity to knock other guys off, and that's a part of it. And those starters, they don't want other guys to be able to take their starting positions, but you need competition in practice to continue to improve. And I think what we've been able to do in a year is now when we practice that second group, some of the things from our fans, that 9th or 10th guy in our lineup, they got an argument he should start. That's a good argument. We've got pretty good competition in practice. So I think to be able to keep that, and now as we add more and more players, quality talent coming in, you're going to see a deeper team. You're not going to see a guy have to play, like John Simons isn't hopefully going to have to play 36 minutes. If he could play 28 minutes, he'd be more productive. He'd come up with more numbers. He'd come up with more points, more rebounds. Right now, a John Simons, a Blake Hibbets, a Chris Fowler, they're maximizing every chance they get out on the court because we need them to.
Coach, going to stick around. We're going to come back. We'll talk about the Akron Zips coming to town. They got a nice win last night. We'll be on the air at 6:45 at that one, but we want you to come out to the game. Start at 7 o'clock at McGurk on Saturday night. The students are back, and they've been great, and we want the community out there as well to help the Chippewas. And as close as some of your games have been, that could be the difference, couldn't it, Saturday night?
Yeah, it is. It's 1 or 2 possession games, so all the support we get is very important to us.
All right, we'll come back talk about that. Don't forget that bus to go see the women play at Western Michigan on Saturday. 1-888-FIRE-UP2. Need to call that number by noon tomorrow. It's only $20 for the bus trip, and also a ticket to the game down in Kalamazoo. Go support the women as they continue along on a great season. Back with more after this break on the Fabiano Brothers Central Michigan IMG Sports Network.
Finding the right highly
Trip rides from the Towers parking lots in North Campus in front of Robinson Hall on men's basketball game days for only $1. Chippewa Cab providing simplified, convenient transportation for our fans. We want to see us Saturday night at McGurk. Akron coming to town. We'll be on the air at 6:45, but we'd like you to listen. But more importantly, we want you at the game to create an atmosphere at McGurk that gets the Chippewas maybe the difference between a couple wins and losses.
Yeah, I mean, I think not only in one game, but you're talking about over a season. Which has really kind of been our focus with our fans, that, one game might not seem that much to our fans, but that could be the difference in, a losing season and winning season. It could be the difference between playing somewhere in March and having early spring break for our players, or going to the NCAA tournament or not going. And so it's really important for us to be able to grow our attendance and grow our support.
Well, I know you've been very impressed with Eastern Michigan, and Akron goes into Eastern last night and puts up a 10-point win, and they got the score up where they wanted it, too, 78-68. And this has happened to us a couple times this season, where somebody who you got nailed on the scouting report is maybe not a three-point shooter or doing a particular something, just lights it up. They had a kid last night that had, 7 threes for him in that contest? What does Akron look like?
Yeah, I mean, you think back to our game last night, Miami of Ohio had made 5 threes over 4 games. They make 7 for 14 against us. Just one of those things that, what do you do? So you go with your scouting report, to your best of your ability. You kind of play the odds on different players and what they do and what they like to do. And we understand that, they're a team that's an inside-outside team. They've got some guys that can pound you inside, and they've got some great shooters on the perimeter as well. So in a short turnaround, we'll try to get as much of the game players and be as prepared as we can.
What are if you had to pick a couple things that you think are big keys headed into that contest? I know we've talked about turnovers and rebounding throughout the season and improving. Are those some of the things that you're still working on that are going to be kind of a constant with this club, you think?
Yeah, I think, one big focus would be how many times that they throw the ball and can have their feet in the paint. When they can get that ball inside, they create a lot of difficulty because of their size, their strength, and also their shooters outside. So if you collapse on that and have to collapse, they kick it out. They can knock down those open three-point shots. So we have to do a better job in the half court of keeping them out of the inside of the paint, and also in our transition defense. We've got to make sure that they're not getting easy opportunities. A lot of that comes on the offensive end of making sure that we're taking care of the ball and getting good quality shots.
Chris Fowler, another nice game for you last night. He had 19 points, an opportunity for a few more at the free throw line where he's been struggling, hard to believe, a little bit of late from the free throw line for him. He's been a constant for you throughout the season. What's amazed me is that with his game, and I don't know what's going on, but it seems like his penetration and drive to the basket, it just seems like other teams can't slow him down that much. They try, but somehow, some way he gets there.
Yeah, I think very comparable to Kyle Randall last year. Well, how does Kyle every night put up 19, 20 points when everybody's focus is on him? And I'm not sure I had the answer of how he was able to continue to score at his size and his ability. But he led the conference. Now, where's Chris Fowler? Chris Fowler is a guy that's an improving outside shooter, but isn't known as a shooter. Just does a couple things well offensively. And he's second in the conference in scoring as a sophomore. And as our perimeter players begin to knock down shots like we did in the second half last night, it's only going to improve his stat line. And, of course, nobody's going to work harder than Chris.
Yeah, and that's a kid that outside shot is just going to continue to improve because, like you said, you walk into the sack, and there he is down on the floor shooting jump shots.
Yeah, he's got good form. But even if you had poor form, if you find yourself that guy, you come in the summer and it's 5 and he's in the gym, and you come back late at night and he's in there at 11:30 at night, and hey, how do you not become a better player? Well, that's Chris Fowler, and that's why not only is he the player that he is when he got here, but that's why he's improved so much that it's a no-brainer that he should be all conference this year. And it'd be very well deserved.
Absolutely. All right, get some sleep. Thanks for coming by. We appreciate it. Head coach of the Chippewas, Keno Davis. The men at home Saturday night, and they'll be taking on the Akron Zips. Back with more on the CMU Sideliners after this timeout on the Fabiano Brothers Central Michigan IMG Sports Network.
Chrysler.
MorningSun.com for the latest sports and news updates. The Morning Sun in print every day, online all the time. Tom Borrelli is here. He heads the Central Michigan wrestling program and very successful through the years. The team to beat in the MAC. Congratulations, you beat Ohio the other night. That Royal Rumble and Tumble was a success for both teams. 19-15 was the final there. Give me your thoughts on the performance last Friday night.
We wrestled pretty good. Ohio was the favorite in the MAC, picked to win the MAC tournament and MAC conference. So this year, it was a good win for us. They had just moved into the top 25 nationally. So our guys wrestled well. Came down to there was a random draw for the starting weight class, and 184 was the first. 133 was the first weight class. So the match came down. It was 16-15. We were leading going into the 125-pound match, and that match went into sudden victory. So it was pretty exciting. The gymnastics event had just ended, so everyone got to stick around and kind of focus on wrestling, and it was, a real very good dual meet.
To your guys, you're more veteran guys because you've been at the top of the MAC so long. When you see a school like Ohio, when they see them ranked ahead of you, is it kind of a pride thing for them? I imagine they were pretty fired up going into that one.
A little bit. Our guys are pretty competitive. We've done well in our conference over the years, so our guys don't like to get overlooked, I guess.
Yeah, you've done an understatement. Then you come right back and you get Missouri on Sunday, and they were ranked in the top 10, I believe number 7 at the time.
That's correct.
And you lost by 16-15. Another good performance.
Yeah, we wrestled really good in that match too. We split. There's 10 matches in a split 5-5. Unfortunately, they scored bonus points in one match. So we ended up on the short end of the team score. But I felt like our guys competed hard, especially in the lighter weights and right up through, 174. We wrestled good. And I think they have a very good team. I think Northern Iowa has a very good team. We wrestled them 2 weeks ago at their place, and they wrestle this weekend. And that will probably determine the conference regular season championship, the winner of the Northern Iowa-Missouri match. And Northern Iowa's ranked 5th, Missouri's ranked 7th. And then Kent's still undefeated, and we wrestle them this weekend. So, we'll see how we do against them, and then going forward how they do.
And you said earlier this year on the program that you thought you'd be better suited for the tournament atmosphere and scoring as opposed to the dual meets with the squad?
Yes, I do. I feel like we have a little stronger tournament team this year. That's not normally the way our team is. Normally we're a better dual meet team, but this year I think our strength is in 4, 5, 6 individuals.
And one of your strengths is at 174. Mike, who's recently named the MAC Wrestler of the Week. Congratulations to him. Tell me a little bit about him.
Mike is having a very, very good year. I think he's maybe 18-2 or something like that. Having a great year. This past 2 weeks, he defeated 3 wrestlers that were ranked in the top 15 in the country, top 16 in the country. He's kind of the guy that on our team that brings the energy to the match. He's kind of the fire plug of our team. A lot of fun to watch wrestle. Really, really a lot of intensity, and really stays in the guy's face and stays after him.
Mike Ottinger now 16-2 on the season, 5-0 on the MAC. Well, best of luck against Kent State on Sunday. Always a fun trip to go down there. They'll be waiting for you, right? Good luck.
Oh, yeah.
Head coach of the Chippewas, Tom Borrelli. Hey, that's going to do it for CMU Sideliners. Don't forget to come on out to the men's game on Saturday night beginning at 7 o'clock against Akron. So for everybody here, I'm Don Shido on the Fabiano Brothers Central Michigan IMG Sports Network. Have a great night, everybody.
Thanks.
Clear.